Hey everybody, Wally Renee here from the Mileage Institute. I'm excited to show you guys a technique that I've been working on for a few years. And this is the concept of the direct-to-fixture 3D printed provisional prosthetic. Now, it is controversial and there's not a lot of evidence in the literature to support this technique, so please understand that. It started with me doing these direct-to-fixture 3D printed healing abutments, custom healers, where I would design these and I would print the hex and I would place the implant and then I would screw in the monolithic 3D printed custom healer into the implant. And I saw at recalls, I saw great success on the way the tissue looked and the bone levels. And so from there, I started to slowly incorporate monolithic full contour crown, pre-surgical direct to fixture 3D printed prosthetics into my surgical protocol. And I slowly started to do that over the years. And for the past year, it's been standard for every single case. And I've had really good success with it. Now, with that said, please understand that this is still potentially on the bleeding edge of dentistry. And I'm more than well aware of what the literature would indicate that the issues would be with a 3D printed prosthetic direct-to-fixture, including concepts such as flexure and micro pumps and bacterial infiltration and things like that. But with that said, I have not seen that clinically with the bone levels that I'm getting. But it is a low level of evidence what one person's opinion is. But nevertheless, let's talk about this technique and let's push dentistry into these new realms together. The only way that I know how to do this is routinely and easily, where it can be team-driven, is with Romexis and Exocad. So, Romexis has an implant planning software. It's not super popular for some reason. Romexis is Planmeca's implant planning software. I think it's quite simple and very easy for teams to use, but for whatever reason, it hasn't quite taken off. I think everybody just resorts to Blue Sky Bio or Co-Diagnostics or something like that. But I like this due to its simplicity. So here we have just a simple single central. Putting this in some graft material here. And I'm going to go ahead and first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and merge some models to the DICOM data set. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click this implant tab here, and I'm going to click this little down arrow on which shows two models being merged together. And Romexis is completely open in that you could download any DICOM data set, you could import any STLs, any designs from anywhere with the geography kind of remembered, and I'll show you why that's important here. So here's the DICOM data set on this individual. I'm going to hit browse and find some of the files that I need to bring in. So I think it's probably, I'm hoping that it's this one right here. I don't have them very well labeled. So this is going to be hopefully the maxillary, yeah, nice, maxillary arch. And to pin them, and I'm well aware that some softwares do this automagically. I'm just going to pick common points, and they don't need to be perfect because there is a best fit algorithm that will occur where the software is going to take care of the rest for me. So honestly, this is just fine for me clicking 3 points, hit done, and then what it's going to do is it's going to look at millions of different data points and try to settle those models together into a best fit algorithm. I think it does remarkably well, but it's something that has to be checked and verified, because if you remember, your entire surgical plan rests on the accuracy of this merge here. And when you're trying to thread the needle, and oftentimes we are, a plus or minus 1 millimeter, half a millimeter could mean the difference between a successful osseointegration or soft tissue encapsulation and failure due to buccal plate necrosis and things like that, due to mostly too labial positioned of your implant placement from a bad merge. So let's verify this merge really quick, and then once we do that, we're simply going to bring in the other files that include the restorative plan, so the waxed up tooth number 8. I don't like to use generic teeth. I actually like to wax the tooth in occlusion and bring that in, and I did that in Exocad, so you'll see that. So I'm going to hit use automatic match here, And what that's now going to do is it's going to let me kind of verify the merge. So to do that, I'll just get out of implant-centric view here and just maximize this for you guys. And so I'll zoom in on this one tab here, and I'm going to slice, and you could see very good, so nice, very good merge. I love doing these simple dentate cases. It's bread and butter stuff. What you're looking for is that this purple line here, which represents the intraoral scan, is coincident to the DICOM data set. Okay, so that's really good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to bring in the wax up. And to do that, you just hit the merge icon again right there, and it's going to pop up that menu. And we'll bring in the wax up case. Now, if you don't have a wax up, it's not the end of the world. I just am a firm believer that you should have one. Actually, kind of it's a pet peeve of mine that people plan cases with some artificial tooth they just plopped in there. Better than nothing, I guess, although there are some studies out there that show that it actually could mislead you and cause for dramatically bad implant placement. You might as well just do nothing. So I guess one of these is the tooth. I bet it's that little baby right there. I'm going to bring in the tooth now. What it should ask me is, do you want to use the existing match? It recognizes and detects that there's been a pre-existing match from the design software, in this case exocad. So I'm going to hit use existing match, and it's going to, what it's going to do is it's going to bring that right in. So you should see now here, there's the wax up. And then finally, we need to go ahead and add the lower. Now, the lower we're also going to bring in at the scanned in byte, not pinned to the DICOM dataset. The DICOM CBCT was made at an open byte. The scan was made at maximum intercuspation, and that is the byte that we want to use for the purposes of this tutorial. So, and again, it's going to ask, do you want to use your existing match? And you hit yes, and so that's going to bring it right in to the byte that was scanned. I'm not concerned that it's not aligned to the mandible here on this DICOM data set. And so then, quite frankly, from here, it's just routine implant planning. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit this folder here, which gives me access to the hundreds of different implants that you could get for the implant library. Within Romexis, there's a website where you could download all your favorite implants. So I almost always place Urus. It's a implant out of South Korea that I absolutely love. It's reasonably priced. It's kind of middle of the tier for price, but yet I find that it's one of my favorites. So Omni fixture. Gosh, we're probably threading the needle here with a 3.0 or 3.5. Let's just say a 3.5 by 10. And this is their Urus sleeve for their fully guided implant system. And you just hit add to plan. I'm going to plop that in, and then just right click and hit flip. And let's see. I'm going to now go to implant centric view by hitting this little screw right here. And now I could see exactly where I'm planning this implant. You know what? This is a tough one here. What I'm going to double click this and go to a 3.0. And I'm going to increase the length to an 11.5. And I'm going to hit replace. And there we go. I like that a little bit better. And I'm going to come right back here like this. If you're going to err more palatably here, I don't want these threads out of bone here, so I'm just going to go up. We will do some bone flattening here when we place this implant. Typically, I like to place them deep anyway, so if I go to my measurement tool, I like them to be at least 2.5. Yeah, so there we go. We're about 2.8 deep compared to the CEJ of the proposed plan, and that's perfect. And we're as palatable as I could get it. So then the next thing for me is what I'm going to do is kind of look at my 3D plan here and see where it's coming out of the... let me turn off my... So down here is all your objects. I'm going to turn off my models here. Just look. That's looking not so bad. Let me turn on my tooth. You know, I think for the purposes of this tutorial, I think that's going to be perfectly acceptable. Let me go ahead and rotate my sleeve. So I'm going to go to my little sleeve icon here, and I'm just going to go to my sleeve. I'm going to rotate that angle. This corresponds to the timing of the guide. So these notches correspond to a hex in the implant right there. Perfect. Now I could, of course, go to my extension tube here by going to my settings and turning on my implant extension right here. And there it is. And I could turn back on my crown and see I have a lingual access right there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly design my surgical guide. And to do that, I just hit this little tab right here that looks like a surgical guide. And I'm going to rush through this because this is not the intention of this tutorial at all. Actually, before I do that, let me cancel. I'm going to add my implant. It's really cool. I'm going to add my implant scan body to this. So this is kind of what makes this pretty unique. You're able to go into the software with certain types of implants, thanks to True Abutment and Planmeca working together. You have all of the kind of Planmeca has partnered with True Abutment to have all of their scan bodies in place, and they make scan bodies for almost every implant. And so the way that you do this is you just double-click the implant and go to here and go to abutments. So this is the True Abutment library of all the implants they make abutments for: Astra, BioHorizons, Nobel, Straumann, Zimmer, Megagen. Lots of implants, and you could just simply attach the scan body. I'm going to do it for the implant that I'm using, which is this Urus down here. It's Omni. It's a narrow. So I'm going to click that right there. Make sure you pick the right one and hit attach. And it comes in, but it doesn't come in at the right timing. You see how it's a little bit crooked? So all you do is just rotate, and it resets the scan body to the right timing that is indicated on the surgical sleeve here. And that is all. Then, so when you do your surgery, there's a notch on the driver that corresponds to this notch, which corresponds to this flat side of the scan body. And so now you could design any prosthetic that you want direct to fixture. So then you would go ahead and create your surgical guide in the software. It's very simple. You just click the little guide module there, and you just circle the area that you want the guide to fit. It takes like, I don't know, 5 seconds. I always go down here from this kind of incisal view and hit set manually, and then I draw my little guide area. Let's just call it like right here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go to preview guide. And it's going to go ahead and show me a rendering of what the guide could be. Again, totally underrated software. I don't know, maybe nobody knows about it. Who knows? They're just so into their own little world with their systems and workflows, they don't bother to look at everything, which is my job. I have played with every single implant planning software on the planet. And I'm excited for some new ones coming out soon as well that I get to try, that hopefully have these types of open workflows incorporated in. So here's the initial proposal for the guide, and you could come in here and remove material. Where did you go? Only happens when I'm doing tutorials. It just kind of disappeared on me. Let me just turn it on, turn it back off here. It's got to be somewhere in space that I accidentally slid. There she is, way down here. I don't know how that happened, but listen, software guys. So I'm gonna erase some of this palette. I don't want quite that much in the palette. And then for the buckle, I'm gonna go ahead and erase just some. I don't want it to go that quite far high. And it's unlimited about, like, you know, what exactly you could do with the software. I'm going to go ahead and add these like windows in here. I like to do it on every single tooth, which is kind of crazy. I like to be able to see and just go into these embrasures and pop that like that. And there we go. And so that's what my guide's going to look like. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create guide. And it says, are you sure? If you screw up, it's not our fault. You just say sure. All right, so once you have the guide designed, you're going to export the models at the correct position and create some files for exocad. So again, the models that we actually want to export are the scan body, merged to the model, and we also want our wax up and our opposing. So I'm going to turn all those on. And what's cool is I'm just going to come here. So I have all my models and everything already merged in the DICOM data set. And what's cool is I could just come in here and hit 3D objects export right there. And that's going to pop up a window that's going to enable me to export everything that you see here as separate individual STL files. So I'll do that. Let's see, did I hit it? There it is. So export separate. And what I want is I want my abutment. Okay, so make sure that you have your abutment, and I want all my models. And I'm just going to call these merged files, and I'm going to save them. Now, let's go take a look at that. You're going to freak out because I'm going to bring you into Mesh Mixer. You type in, because we're going to look at the files that it exported. Let me see here. Desktop, tutorial, merged files. So it's these 4 files. Okay. And we need to create some new models to which we're going to bring into exocad, PlanCAD Premium, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of white labeled versions of exocad out there. Let's see. So here we go. Yeah, so here's the wax up, the lower, and so these are individual files here. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And so what we need to do is create some models here. This needs to be one model that we're going to tell exocad is the scan body scan. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and control click those like this, and a little window pops up here. We're going to hit combine like that, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to go to File, Export, Desktop Tutorial. Where are you? Here, yeah, my face is over it. Tutorial. I'll just make a new folder. I'm going to call it this for exocad. Then you could do it. Well, actually, I don't think you could do it on anything else, to be honest. I'm just going to call this scan body. I'm going to save that. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and do the pre-op model, just like that. And I'm going to go to File, Export. I'm just going to call that pre-op. Hit save so we have something to look at. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and just load the lower. I'm going to call that antagonist. Antagonist. Sure. Okay. Great. So now we're going to open up exocad, PlanCAD Premium. PlanCAD Premium, Plan Manager, which is the same as Dental DV. I really like this software. It's my favorite. PlanMeca does a really good job at supporting us with the software, so really thankful for that. So let's set the case up. I'm gonna go ahead and go to default operator, or let's call this presurgical whatever. I'm spelling that right. Just click number 8. And how are we going to set this up? We're going to go to anatomic crown, 3D printed, and screw retained. Scan body is in the main body scan. Pre-op? Sure. Okay. Again, screw retained, scan body, pre-op. Hit OK. And we have an antagonist. Just call this digital impression scan and hit save and go ahead and open up to design. Now this is going to be a really quick design. I'm not going to go through all the eccentricities of the design. You need the true abutment tie-based libraries for all the various different implants. True Abutment's the most open digital dentistry company in the world. That's why they're my favorite implant company to work with. They'll send you the files, they have the hexes correct, they have the screws correct. A lot of companies are like a little swirly where they try to hide everything and you can't do anything. So thankfully True Abutment makes stuff for all the different manufacturers so that we can kind of do this workflow for all of them. Tutorial for exocad. It says upper jaw. I'm just going to call that the scan body. Load pre-op. I'm going to call that the pre-op. And then load antagonist. I'm going to call that the antagonist here. There. Super easy. Look at that. So now, for all intents and purposes, remember we haven't placed this implant yet. It's just based off of the surgical plan. That's why the tissue looks like normal tissue. Just going to hit next and follow the wizard. It's asking me what implant did I use here. I have it saved as my favorite. Actually, it's a narrow. Shoot. So I'm going to have to scroll through. Let me type in at least True Abutment. Sorry guys, I have a million, every implant on the planet in this software. Come on, baby. There we are. So there's all the True Abutment libraries that I have for basically every single implant. What's interesting is that I think their URIS is actually under URIS. No, it's true-URIS narrow. It took forever. Pick your tie base height, pick your gap here, and hit use anyway. And then click your point and hit best fit match. This is going to virtually merge the virtual scan body to the actual scan. It should be a perfect fit because this is not an intraoral scan of a scan body. It's like literally the placement of the scan body from the manufacturer here. So you'll see that these are going to be perfect. And my computer's running a little slow, but yeah, see, it's a perfect, you'll never get a more perfect match than that. Okay, so the next step is 3D data editor. This is an option that I get to trim any material if I want to, or anything like that. I don't need anything, I don't have to trim anything. I'm just going to hit next, and I'm going to hit don't modify the scan data. And then I'm just going to hit detect and hit next. And then I get to either, from this stage, I get to either pick a new tooth library and redesign. I could mirror image this tooth onto this tooth. I could come in here and pick like a new library and I could see where my original wax up was. That's probably just what I'll do. Super easy, so I could just show you guys really quick. And then from here, you get to pick your kind of emergence there. My abutment bottom, I'm just going to go ahead and change this to make it a little bit more concave. Hit next. There's the screw channel right there. Let me turn off my antagonist, turn off my, yeah. Okay, and you might say, well, that's not convex enough. Well, this is where you could come in here and kind of smooth that up a little bit if you want to, depending on where you wanted your tissue to kind of fill in. You could change the shape of everything that you to what you desire. You can come in here and accentuate your future proposed CEJ, kind of get that to match. If you plan on doing some grafting, you could get the tissue to come down here by under contouring this, by coming in here and further melting this back. Of course, you might violate some thickness rules here, which I am doing right now. Again, just something to kind of show you guys. And of course, I'm going to go to cut all my intersections, including my occlusion and my proximal contacts. I'm going to hit next. And then this is also where I could copy the pre-op condition. I'm not going to do that. There's really no point. This is my screw channel. Just hit next. And then there we go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go to freeform final merge restoration, and I'm just going to smooth some of that anatomy out and go to my add remove and kind of take this bad boy all the way out of occlusion so they're not pounding on it, just like that. And you could go through dynamic articulation as well. Now, here's the magic. I could turn on, and this is kind of cool, I could turn on my abutment, just like that. And I could actually, so you have options. You could 3D print this and then bond it onto a tie base and screw that in pre-surgically. Okay, so for those of you who are risk adverse, perfect. Or if you're crazy like me, you could turn on your abutment like this, and you could actually 3D print this whole piece. And so the way that you do that is just like right click, save scene as, desktop, save it as a plain STL, tutorial. I'm going to call this pre-surgical final, whatever. Whatever. Save visible objects default orientation. Again, you have the option of turning that off and just saving that. Let me just get that to the merge state right here. Save scene as, and I could call this for tie base. Where's my tutorial? I'll just call this for tie base. Okay, so now in your slicer software, whatever you're using, Rayware or Formlab Slicer, this is Desktop Health Slicer. I print this out of probably Flexera. Let's bring it in, and I'll show you guys the two different options that we have. Tutorial for ExoCAD. Nope. What was it called? So we have the pre-surgical final and then for tie base. I'll show you how to print these, and no matter what printer you have, this is what you want to do. So, and see, this didn't, let me go back. That didn't delete because I didn't export the merged file. Or, I'm glad I'm making this mistake so you guys can see. Abutment, tie base, and we don't need this. Yeah, that's what we need to hit, save. Sorry guys, I think, let's call it plain STL, and let me just rename this pre-surgical final. I'll replace that. And then, let me bring that back in. It should be solid now. Or whole, I mean. There we go. Okay, so there's the file. So what you want to do with both of these is go ahead and get it flat on the build plate, and you do not want to print it that way. But that's the way you want to first orientate it so that it's perfectly flat on the build plate, and then you want to rotate it exactly 180 degrees. It's 180, right? Is it 180? Goodness gracious, my mouse is touchy. You guys are laughing. This is bad. It has to be exactly 180. Come on, baby. There we go. So so if you want the most accurate print of that hex, and it's better if you have a more accurate printer, right, 180 degrees there. So now what that means is that this top of this surface is perfectly parallel to the build plate, which you're going to get that last layer is going to be perfect. And then you're going to go here and hit generate supports. It's going to generate supports for these, and you're going to go ahead and send that bad boy to the printer and decide if you want to take the red pill or the blue pill on which way you want to go with this. Anyway, guys, I hope this helps. I've been doing this for quite some time. The screw basically retains this in the implant. This hex doesn't engage. You could use a non-hex tie-based library if you wanted to. But again, that's how you are going to be able to manufacture these and get these printed for your patients and make pre-surgical prosthetics. All right. Hope I see you guys at the Mod Institute someday.